Picture this. It is November
Berlin,
1923 in Berlin.
1923.
You are standing in line at a bakery. The price on the chalkboard reads 200 billion marks for a single loaf of bread. Not 200, not 200,000, but 200 billion. By the time you reach the front of the line, just 12 minutes later, the baker walks out, crosses out the price and writes 300 billion. You just lost 30% of your life savings while standing in line for breakfast. This isn't just a history lesson. This is a warning. Because right now, the exact same signals are flashing red in the global economy. The United States is adding $1 trillion in debt every 100 days. The purchasing power of the dollar has dropped 98% since the Federal Reserve was created. The average lifespan of a fiat currency is only 27 years. The current monetary system has been running since 1971. Do the math. We are living on borrowed time. So when the music stops, and it always does, what do you own? Paper money that returns to its intrinsic value of zero? Or real assets that survive the fire? I have analyzed the financial autopsies of every major collapse from Weimar Germany to modern-day Venezuela. I found 5 specific assets that didn't just survive. They made people wealthy while everyone else lost everything. Here is the blueprint they don't teach you in school. Before we get to the assets, you need to understand why this happens. It's called financial repression. When governments drown in debt, like the $35 trillion debt mountain in the US right now, they have only 2 choices. 1, default and tell the world they are broke. 2, print money to inflate the debt away. They choose option 2 every single time. They dilute the currency to pay off old debts with cheaper money. This transfers wealth from savers to debtors. It is a silent tax. You don't see it on your pay stub, but you feel it at the grocery store. So how do you opt out of this system? You need assets that cannot be printed. Asset number 1, the king of crisis, precious metals. Now, Wall Street hates gold. They call it a pet rock. But let's look at the data, not the opinions. Let's go back to the 1970s stagflation in America. Inflation was soaring. The economy was stagnant. If you held S&P 500 stocks, you made 0 real returns for an entire decade. But if you held gold, it went from $35 an ounce in 1971 to $850 an ounce in 1980. That is a 2,300% increase in purchasing power, while everyone else was getting crushed by inflation. Why? Because gold is the only financial asset that is not someone else's liability. It has no counterparty risk. If the bank fails, your gold is still there. If the government collapses, your gold is still gold. And look at who is buying it right now. In 2024, central banks led by China, Poland, and Singapore bought gold at the fastest pace in history. They are dumping US treasuries and buying hard metal. They know something is coming. Do not bet against the people who rigged the game. Asset number 2, foreign hard currencies. This is your lifeboat. In 2019, the Lebanese banking system collapsed. The local currency lost 98% of its value. A millionaire in Lebanese pounds became a pauper overnight. But the nurse who kept a stack of physical US dollars under her mattress? She became the wealthiest person in her neighborhood. If you live in a country with a weak currency, holding US dollars is a no-brainer. But what if you live in the US or Europe? The strategy is jurisdictional diversification. You don't just want different assets, you want assets in different places. Historically, the Swiss franc and the Singapore dollar have been safe havens because of their nation's fiscal neutrality and stability. Holding cash outside of your immediate banking system isn't paranoia, it's insurance. Because when a banking holiday is declared and ATMs stop working, the only money that matters is the money you physically control. Asset number 3, this is where most people get it wrong. Productive equities. You might think stocks crash during an economic collapse, and initially they might. But in a hyperinflationary collapse, the stock market often goes vertical. In Venezuela, the stock market rose 3,400% in a single year. In Zimbabwe, the stock market was the best performing asset class in the world in 2008. Why? Because stocks represent ownership of real things. Factories, land, intellectual property. As the currency devalues, the nominal price of these assets reprices upwards. But and this is critical, You must own the right kind of companies. You want companies with pricing power and international revenue. Look at the Asian financial crisis of 1997. Domestic Korean companies that borrowed in dollars and earned in won went bankrupt. But global giants like Samsung, they survived and thrived. Why? Because they paid their local costs in cheap, crashed currency, but they sold their electronics to America for strong US dollars. Their profit margins exploded. The lesson: own companies that sell to the world, not just to your local neighborhood. Now you might be thinking, is this just theory? Has anyone actually done this? Let me tell you the story of Hugo Stinnes, the man they called the inflation king. In 1920s Germany, while millions were starving and carrying wheelbarrows of cash, Hugo Stinnes became the wealthiest man in the country. How? He understood the secret mechanics of inflation before anyone else. While everyone was saving cash, Stinnes did the opposite. He borrowed huge amounts of German marks from banks. He used that paper money to buy real assets: coal mines, steel mills, ships, and newspapers. When hyperinflation hit, the value of the money he owed dropped to zero. He paid off his massive debts with the equivalent of a few pennies. But the assets he bought, their value skyrocketed. He effectively bought the German industrial infrastructure for free, paid for by the ignorance of the banking system. This is the ultimate hidden history lesson. Inflation destroys savers, but it enriches debtors who own real assets. Stinnes didn't panic. He positioned himself, and that is exactly what you need to do today. Asset number 4, consumables. We live in a digital world, but in a collapse, we return to a physical reality. You cannot eat Bitcoin. You cannot drink an ETF. In post-World War II Germany, the Deutsche Mark was worthless. The real currency was cigarettes and nylon stockings. In modern failures like Venezuela, the most valuable items were antibiotics, alcohol, water filters, and batteries. Allocating 5% of your net worth to long-term essential supplies isn't crazy. It's the highest ROI investment you can make if the supply chain breaks for even 1 week. And finally, asset number 5, productive farmland. There is a reason why the ultra-wealthy are quietly becoming the largest farmland owners in America. Land produces the one thing humans cannot negotiate on: calories. During the Great Depression, stockbrokers were jumping out of windows, but farmers could still feed their families. It is the ultimate store of value. It has never gone to zero in 5,000 years. However, a warning: land is illiquid. You can't put it in your pocket and run, and it is easy to tax. So own land if you can, but do not put 100% of your wealth into something you cannot move. So how exactly should you structure your portfolio to survive? You cannot put 100% into gold. That is dangerous. Based on historical data, here is the Fortress portfolio model. 10% in insurance, physical gold and silver. This is your doomsday fund. You never touch this unless the currency dies. 20% in liquidity, foreign cash and short-term treasuries. This allows you to buy cheap assets when the market crashes. 40% in growth, productive international equities, companies like energy giants, consumer staples, and defense contractors. 20% in real assets, farmland, real estate, or commodities. And 10% in speculation, Bitcoin or high-risk ventures. This is your lottery ticket. This mix ensures that no matter if we have inflation or deflation, you survive. Now, before you go, you need to know what to sell immediately. There are 2 assets guaranteed to go to zero in a currency collapse. Number 1, government bonds. If you own the debt of a bankrupt nation, you go down with the ship. Number 2, savings accounts in local currency. Inflation is a melting ice cube. Leaving your money in a savings account paying 4% while real inflation is 15% is financial suicide. History is written by the winners, but in economics, history is written by the survivors. The greatest wealth transfer in human history has already begun. The system is resetting. You now have the map. You know the 5 assets. You know the legend of Hugo Stinnes. And you know the strategy. Most people will ignore this video. They will stay asleep until they are standing in line for bread. But you are now part of the 1% who can see the signal through the noise. Don't just watch, act. Position yourself now so you don't have to panic later. If you want to uncover the financial truths that the mainstream media is hiding, click that subscribe button. Welcome to Hidden Economic History. We follow the money wherever it leads.